So when I was a kid in New York, I lived on Bleecker Street in Greenwich Village, which is an area of Lower Manhattan. I actually had an Armenian restaurant right next to me. And this was one of the things they made there that revolutionized my understanding of pizza. Lahmajoun, which is a Middle Eastern flatbread pizza that now is made in, I don't know, Lebanon and Syria and all those kinds of places. It's really amazing, so stay tuned. Okay, so to make our dough for this pizza, we will be using 1 3/4 cups all-purpose flour, 3/4 of a cup of Greek-style yogurt. You want to be using that because it's a little bit thicker than regular yogurt. I've got a tablespoonful of honey mixed in with it. 1 1/2 teaspoons of all-purpose yeast, 1 3/4 teaspoons salt, and we're going to mix that up in my vintage 1970s Cuisinart food processor to make our pizza dough. Then we're going to have to let that sit for an hour and a half to rise a little bit. So let's get to it. So I've got my flour, yeast, and salt in the food processor, and we will mix until combined. About 5 seconds or so should probably do it. And now I've got my yogurt and honey in there along with 1/4 cup of cold water. I'm going to turn this on and mix it just until a ball forms and starts whipping around. Stupid safety stuff. You can see it doesn't exactly take too long. So there we go. I'm going to take this out and throw this on a floured surface and make it into 6 balls. Okay, so I'm going to flour up my hands. And I don't know why I said 6 balls. I need to have this in 2 balls. So get that thing out of there. All right, so I'm just going to divide this pretty much in half. Knead it a little bit. This doesn't really require a whole lot. And just to make sure, that's not quite even, is it? So just to make sure they're about right, let's get them into two nicely formed taut balls. I'm sort of rolling it under itself like this. I don't know why I like to do that. It just sort of gives you a nicer ball shape. But we need 2. And that's pretty even. And I'm just going to set these on a floured plate and let them sit for an hour and a half. They should rise until they're pretty much double in volume, something like that. Okay, so while our dough is rising, we will work on the topping for the dough. So 1 onion, kind of medium small, sort of roughly chopped. Throw that into our food processor. Nothing fancy here. And we're going to hit it for about 5 or 6 seconds just to sort of get it to a small dice. And let's just do 1 scrape down. And we will hit it again. Boom. That's fine. Okay, now the rest of our ingredients. All right, so the rest of our ingredients, we will do 2 tablespoons thereabouts of tomato paste. You can see I'm not really being that accurate here. 1/4 cup of some roasted tomatoes. You just get these in a can. Then 2 teaspoons smoked paprika. 2 teaspoons cumin. Depending on your tastes, 3/4 to 1 teaspoon. I like to use Aleppo Aleppo pepper. If you don't have that or don't feel like getting it, that's fine. Just use some, crushed red pepper. It's fine. Cayenne pepper is fine. Put that in there. Mix it all up again. There we go. Okay, so as always, I'm going to scrape this down and try and get it a little bit smoother here. And let's add, I don't know, a hefty pinch of salt, hefty pinch of black pepper. Do it again. Now, we need to add our meat to this. And for a more authentic sort of taste, I like to use ground lamb. I know that's not everybody's thing. I personally love it, but I know some really don't like it. Or if they do like it, it's kind of hard to get or sort of expensive or something. So if you don't want to do that, 8 ounces of ground beef works just fine. I would use a leaner, something on the leaner end of the ground beef spectrum, like 90% or something. I wouldn't go with the 80% stuff. It's going to give you kind of a greasy pizza. So I'm going to put that right in there. Now let's do another scrape down just to make sure. Yeah, we want to get this all nice and homogeneous. That is our topping done. All we have to do is mix up a little bit of yogurt with some water. Maybe slice up a little bit of or tear apart a little bit of arugula. And we are going to be done as far as prep on this thing goes. But we're still waiting for our dough to rise, so it's going to be a little bit longer until I eat dinner. Okay, so we're going to stretch out our dough, and I like to put down a little bit of corn flour because it helps things slide off a teeny bit easier. And this dough is kind of just going to stretch it into place here, really. I suppose I could roll it out, but this is more of a sort of hand-shaped kind of thing. You can see it's kind of, I don't know, it's not the easiest to work with, not the hardest, but basically you're just sort of doing a version of a hand-tossed dough thing. See how that works out for you. Because you're trying to get a little bit of a free-form shape here. The big thing is since we're going to be sliding this into the oven, you're trying not to push down too much, because when we open up our oven, we do not want any problems sliding this off, because that oven's been preheating to 500 degrees for half an hour, and it's going to be quite hot when we open it all up. So just get it going on here with our meat, onion, tomato sauce, tomato paste mixture, and trying to get it within pretty even and half an inch or so within the edge of the dough. And that's it as far as we're going to go here. And now we're just going to slide this one into the oven. Okay, so we've got one of our flatbreads out, and you can see it's quite steamy and everything. I think Lahmajoun actually means meat with dough. And it marks the transition from, they always have flatbreads in the Middle East and that area, but what happened was that there was a transition where they got to the point of having a brick bottom stove, and at that point you could get it really hot and throw some meat on top of it rather than adding it later on as a topping, and so you could do it all at once. And that's how we get this. But so I've got it cooling off so that I don't get condensation and a soggy bottom. And I put the other one in, and I think this one went about 12 minutes at my 500 degree iron smelting temperature oven. So I'm going to do the second one at 12 minutes, and then we're going to put on the arugula and the yogurt topping and serve it up. Okay, so to serve things up, I've got this. I'm just going to serve it right like this on the wood cutting board. And I got some arugula, which I got to be honest with you, I'm not usually the biggest fan of this stuff. But with this, it works really well since it has this certain kind of, I don't know how you describe it, kind of spicy, slightly sour taste to it that just works really well with the whole thing. And then I've got a little bit of my Greek yogurt, which I've thinned down with a little bit of water. Maybe I should thin it down a little bit more. You want to be able to drizzle this. Oy. So yeah. But you get the idea. And there you go. That's how it looks. It is just, let me tell you something. You get done with this. It's not the world's hardest thing to make, but you get done with this, and it is just amazing how good this tastes. So again, thank you for joining Rupert Cooks. And I appreciate it when every single time you like and subscribe to my videos so you get to see more of this and get notified when they come out. I try and do it at least once a week. So again, thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you on the next one.